Fasten your seatbelts for the realest Eagles and Sixers YouTuber! One who plays no clickbait and gets to the point! The myth, the legend, Nicky Steves! Come to my channel, you know the deal, yo boy always keeps things real. I'm simply statue think they slate, dropping unrealistic mad 2K takes for the clip. Even though cats like that get views closer to the milli, never hear me preach LeBron to Philly. Before you watch the Eagles all the way through the early 22, authentic talk, forget what others do. Come to my channel, you know the deal, yo boy always keeps things real. The 24/7, 365 way, sports content for the reals to fill the day. Good morning, folks. It is a day late. I had to postpone it yesterday because yesterday was one of those days, kind of a little bit of a sick day. You know, I had to stop myself before it became a big issue. So it's kind of a rest day. So I just decided the smart thing would be to pull off the 3-point blitz just by one day. So, but don't worry, episode 13 next week is planning to go back to the Monday 10 a.m. spot, but that's just for 1 week. But without any further ado, let's get into it. It's a day late, but this is just the 1 week thing. Starting next week, back to Monday. But let's dive right into it. Before we get into the NBA Finals discussion, quickly, let's acknowledge that we're doing this on the Nicky Steves channel and as well the Hardcore Sports Network. We will be talking about this. We're going to talk about the NBA Finals today, go over some of the key player matchups, drop some predictions, being that we are 2 days away from the start of the finals. But before then, I do want to talk about something else. There's a big NBA-related story. It's not the most fun story to talk about, but it is something that I have to talk about. So it's going to be our rant of the week. It's about an NBA player who's been in some trouble, and it's happening again. Mr. Zion Williamson. So now, you guys have probably heard the story right now. Zion Williamson was accused by a woman identifying as Jane Doe of sexual assault, as well as being, false imprisonment, being held hostage. It's a disturbing allegation against him, but gotta talk about it. Let's just see. So it said, I'm going to take a look at the article real quick. Going to see what the exact allegations are. He's being sued, apparently, that he committed violence against her. Right, and Zion Williamson. Now, apparently, he's suing over the allegations. So there's several lawsuits going on in this whole ordeal. It's a complete cluster. But now, we don't know the actual details about the case yet. We don't know how true it is yet. I'll still wait for more information before deciding on that. However, with that being said, though, this is an accusation, a serious accusation against a guy who's already had discipline issues, both in terms of keeping himself in shape, which has frequently led to him missing time on the court, and a guy who had some baby mama drama 2 years ago. I remember back on the Pick and Roll podcast, back when we was on Wednesdays, me, Randy, Coach Ed Gladdy, Next Shift Randy, and the crew, we discussed this. Mitch and Blaze, we discussed this back then when he was going through the baby mama drama with the adult film star. And Coach Ed put the nail right on the head on that one about Zion's lack of discipline, getting himself caught up in that situation. Now, here we are 2 years later, something much more serious has come about, which I'm going to wait for details before I go anything about that. But this is years of Zion's lack of discipline coming back to bite him. Now, even if this doesn't turn out to be true, this could easily be the final straw for Zion, because you're talking about a guy who already has issues, inability to stay healthy, concerns about him getting caught up in off-the-court drama with women. Before this allegation came out, that's a distraction. Now, you're adding a serious felony on top, accusation on top of it. This could be the final straw in terms of teams taking Zion seriously. This could probably be the last straw of, okay, maybe his career could be saved. Because I noticed the trend with professional athletes. Once your contributions and you go down, in the case of Zion, his lack of contribution is being unavailable to play. And now you got a serious accusation against him, similar to a Justin Tucker, who once his productivity dipped, he got cut. Zion's at this risk now of, okay, he barely plays. Do we really want to take a risk on a guy like that that's also got this trouble as well? It goes back to what I said in my rant about Justin Tucker and selective punishment for athletes. I feel Zion's going to be in that same predicament now. But this is sad. It's for a guy at Zion Williamson who had the potential to be the next face of the league, succeeding LeBron James. Remember when he came out of Duke in 2019? He was a highly talented prospect. The media seemed to like him. They were trying to market him as a potential future face. Getting rid of all the Zion drama. Yeah. And now we saw what happened instead. Barely plays. He's had so much. Zion's been in the news throughout his career for all the wrong reasons. All the wrong reasons for not being able to stay in shape. He's been the meme of constant fat jokes. He's also been the guy who had that drama a few years ago, like the adult film star, the baby mama drama, which it wasn't a felony, but it related to poor decision-making from the young man. And now you see this story right here. If this turns out to be true, this should carry prison sentence if this turns out to be true for sure. But now you're talking about a young man who had who has all the potential but lacks the discipline, and now he's ultimately going to be remembered as a bust from an NBA standpoint. The fact this man barely played, and the fact that he's missed so much time where he was unable to contribute up to his potential, and now all this off-the-court issues, especially if this turns out that Trudy ends up having to serve jail time because of it, easily one of the biggest busts. And it's a shame. Zion was fun to watch at Duke. Now I can't stand the guy. Exactly. I mean, with Zion, dude, I think once he got that paycheck, he just cashed out. He wanted to live the baller lifestyle, and now we see the consequences of it. But it's sad, though, that you get these players like Zion Williamson and even Ben Simmons. I know some of y'all don't want to hear me talk about it, but I'll have to do this to illustrate an example. You get 2 number 1 picks here we're talking about that had all the potential to be superstars. Instead, now they're being remembered as bust because of their lack of discipline. With Ben Simmons, it's his inability to step up and face challenges. that did more to haunt him in the long term for obvious reasons. We don't need to go through it. In Zion, similar story, but his issues being getting caught up in affairs with women that have not benefited him and being unable to stay in shape to stay on the court. And really think about it too. It's not, at this point, this is more of a rant now about the 2019 NBA draft class. It's a shame. This is the most undisciplined draft class in recent memory. You got Zion Williamson. We know his story right there. Constantly getting caught up in some stupid drama. Oh, not to mention he was missing team meetings as well, showing up late for flights, showing he was uncommitted to being on the court as well. Not just missing game time, and being injured. So this was, to me, this whole season, 2024, 2025, going now to present, this was the final straw. It's like, not only is it just injuries, it's now this guy can't even be reliable to show up to practice. He's getting involved in trouble off the court. And then, of course, you got Ja Morant. Now, the difference between Zion and Ja is on the court, Ja Morant has lived up to his potential. He's actually been a guy who's been available for the team. He's been available for the Grizzlies. When he's on the court, he's a difference maker that can produce. But unfortunately, we know he has his discipline issues, particularly trying to act like a tough guy off the court when it really isn't doing him any favors at all. Well, we know about that as well. So Ja Morant's one of those cases of, highly talented player, but his lack of discipline could be the issue. Another issue could be his ability to stay healthy, as we've seen in recent years. But on the court, at least Ja Morant has produced. When he's there, he's gotten the Memphis Grizzlies to the playoffs in one way or another. They haven't really fared well when they get there, but they at least find ways to get to the playoffs with Ja Morant and produce well enough during the regular season to at least have a shot at competing for a championship. Now, we know Ja Morant leading the team alone hasn't been enough due to a combination of injuries, not having the right pieces to put it together come playoff time, some locker room drama, particularly with players like Dillon Brooks. But you see with Ja Morant, there's the lack of discipline. We know he had the gun issues, and recently he did the grenade celebration, which, if this were another player who didn't have the off-the-court issues with using guns that Ja Morant did, I don't think the grenade celebration would have been any deal at all. None. But because it's a guy who has these off-the-court issues, the gun pointing grenade celebrations had that sour taste, for lack of a better term, because it's like, okay, here's a guy who's had his off-the-court issues with weapons and possession of weapons. He hasn't, that we know of, used them on anyone and been charged with anything serious to date, but he's had these off-the-court issues, and he's ultimately gotten in trouble because of it. So I don't think that was a wise move because of your history. I mean, but you're talking about a 2019 draft class that lacks discipline, particularly Zion Williamson, because at least with Ja Morant, he hasn't been in trouble since his suspension yet. Hopefully it stays that way. And if he does able to come back, you hope he can come back and still be the same player that he's been. There's at least still some potential for Ja Morant to return to the court and at least still be a star. Whereas Zion, I feel like this is the last straw with him. I don't see how at this point he's a worthy investment for NBA teams. I just don't. I'm just going to leave it at that right there. My rant of the week. Zion Williamson, he's the center version of Ben Simmons in some ways. All the potential, but lacks the discipline. I'm just going to leave it at that. It's a shame to see Zion throw away his career, but he's done it. He's in his own bed. He can lie in it. And that's the difference between guys that seemingly have all the potential to make something happen, like a Zion Williamson, or years back a Darko Milicic, who had the potential upside to make it in the NBA, but lack of discipline and his careless lifestyle off the court kind of low-key like an NBA Johnny Manziel to some degree. years before Johnny Manziel was able in the NFL. But you got guys like that who have the potential, who don't maximize their gifts. Ben Simmons, another one. Versus guys who aren't highly talented prospects, but they find ways to overcome it. They put their work ethic outshines it. Like a guy like a Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler was brought into the Chicago Bulls initially just to be a defensive presence, but he actually worked on his game, became an all-star player, got to start in 2 separate finals as a lead member of the Miami Heat. Now, you could say what we want to say about Jimmy Butler, but the difference between a Jimmy Buckets and some of those other guys is Jimmy Butler actually worked on his game, became a better all-around player, and actually did something with it. Remember a Ben Wallace, who was an undrafted player in the 96 draft class. What did he do? He found the right fit with the Detroit Pistons, worked on his defensive prowess, and became a key factor to that 04 Pistons championship team. Now, to be fair, Ben Wallace was a guy who kind of lucky to find the right system that suited his strengths. But nevertheless, though, these are guys who weren't highly talented prospects, who people didn't see much for, but they found ways to overcome it. Look at a Tyler Hero. There wasn't much high hopes for Tyler Hero who came out of that draft class with Zion, but guess what? Tyler Hero worked on his game, made the most of what he's had, and now you see maybe he's a year or 2 away from becoming a superstar. But the point is, though, you got guys like Zion who don't maximize their gift, and then guys like Jimmy Butlers, the Tyler Heroes of the world, who overcome not being that through their work ethic and make something of it. And I'll leave it at that right there. You want to look for the type of draft prospect to go to be more like, see a Tyler Hero. And I'll leave it at that. But now we're going to switch gears. And we're going to talk about the NBA Finals. We know, as you guys know, the NBA Finals matchup has been set. It is going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder representing the West versus the Indiana Pacers representing the East. It's going to be an interesting matchup. Now, we know there's been going to be the debate. Some people are going to say it's not great for ratings. It's not going to produce the same TV interest that of the Los Angeles Lakers or the Boston Celtics would, or the New York Knicks would. And there is some degree of truth to that. TV ratings, granted, it's not like the days of the Chicago Bulls being in the finals ratings-wise, or the New York Knicks being in the finals, or the Los Angeles Lakers being the finals. Granted, from a TV perspective, I'll give you that. However, from an NBA game standpoint, for the fans that love basketball, this is a breath of fresh air. For me personally, and the reason I say that is, not to dwell, but going back to 2017, 18, 19, when you had the super team Warriors, LeBron, carrying the Cavs with no one in the East that could stop them, I kind of lost some interest in the NBA during that period of time. Like, when Luka was a rookie, when you had those guys coming up, Jason Tatum coming up, I wasn't really following it a whole lot. I kind of lost interest for a few years there because I felt the super teams had gotten out of hand. And then during that 2019 offseason, when the super teams got split up, my interest started to come back during that COVID season, particularly. Early on the season, as the season went along, my interest started to come back into it. And now here we are in 2025, we on the 3-Point Blitz dedicating episode 12 strictly to talking about the NBA. So I'm actually happy to see this parity across the league. I'm happy that it's the OKC Thunder versus the Indiana Pacers. I was overjoyed in 2021 when it was the Phoenix Suns versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Even though I was disappointed it wasn't my team, but I was happy that we finally got some breath of fresh air. And now here we are in 2025. I see a similar backdrop to the 2021 finals where you got 2 teams that haven't been on this stage in a long time going out competing against each other. May not look like the most promising ratings-wise, may not be the 2 most eye-catching teams in the world, the biggest market cities, but you're going to get a good series of basketball between these 2 teams. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the OKC Thunder and the Indiana Pacers have to produce. It's going to be a fun series. I'm looking forward to this because here we go. Especially personally, after years of super teams, years of it being nothing throughout the 2000s, but whatever team LeBron was on, the Miami Heat, then the Cleveland Cavaliers, and out west it was second half of the decade, nothing but the OKC Thunder going at it. That's something I'm glad we overcame. I'm glad we're past that point right now. But at least now, fortunately, now we're at a position where we got two young teams. We get superstars, young superstars, fresh faces, SGA, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander for the Oklahoma City Thunder, and Tyrese Halliburton for the Indiana Pacers, as well as other young players that blend well with their teams. You got for the OKC Thunder, you got Jalen Williams, excellent number 2 guy, the best Robin, quote unquote, in today's NBA. You got Chet Holmgren, who's been a good addition for the Thunder. You got guys like Lord, you got Luol Dort. You got so many guys. You got Isaiah Hartenstein, Isaiah Joe, who's a good player, who can be good off the bench, could get you maybe 9-10 points on a good night off the bench. So you got a really good team. Then on the flip side, East, you got Tyrese Halliburton. You got Pascal Siakam, who's been in the finals before, who knows what it's like to be in this stage. Andrew Nembhard, who's a good player. You got a lot of these guys right here on this team. Aaron Nesmith. Not really big promising names, but guys who know how to play well together, which makes for good team basketball. For those that were sick of the super teams, guess what? This finals is for us. This is for all the fans out there who were tired of the super teams, tired of seeing LeBron versus Curry every year in the finals. Now, after all those years, we've gotten several straight years of different teams in the finals, different pairings. So this finals is for us, and personally, I've been loving it. That's the favorite part about NBA season now is playoff and finals time, because I know we're going to get a breath of fresh air. And it's crazy because the unpredictability factor that I used to love about the NFL for years, like how one year you could go Rams and Titans in the Super Bowl, Ravens and Giants the next, Rams and Patriots the next, Buccaneers, Raiders the next. A lot of that parity that existed in the NFL during that time period, now we're seeing it in the NBA. How one year you go from the Bucks and Suns, then it was the Warriors and Celtics, then Nuggets and Heat, Mavericks and Celtics, now Thunder and Pacers. I love this parity right here. So as a fan, I'm looking forward to this. But enough rambling on about it personally. So let's talk about the teams a little bit. But first, before then, we're going to take just a quick break. I'll be right back in just a minute. All right, right back, folks. Let's dive right into it. Now, I did do is I just wanted to put a poll up on my channel's stream. So that's the link to catch the stream on my channel. I got a poll up asking you guys who you think's going to end up winning the finals. If you guys come through, stop by and vote on my side of the stream. And I'm going to share it out real quickly. Because I'm going to share it real quickly, let everyone on Twitter know, hey, I'm doing this live. I got a poll up for it. Let's do this. So let's do, that's what I'm going to do right now, folks. So let's get right into it. We got the interesting NBA finals right here. Two of the best. Now, we got the Oklahoma City Thunder. Let's start with them. We know their pathway to the finals. They beat everybody in path. They defeated. They won an opening round, had a cakewalk series, easily took care of business there against the Memphis Grizzlies. And then after that, the second round, they had a best of 7. They went 7 games with the Denver Nuggets, got the better of that series. And then the conference finals took care of business against the Minnesota Timberwolves, ended their streak. And now they're at the NBA Finals. You're the reigning MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on the team. One of the best defenses in the NBA. The Thunder have had, throughout their playoff run, they've led in turnover rate efficiency. They've won 4 games by 30 or more points from game 1 in the opening round all the way through to game 5 of the conference finals, where they put away the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's 4 games where they won by 30 or more points. They've asserted their dominance out west. And then you mentioned you have the reigning MVP, SGA. You got Jalen Williams, who's been a good second option consistently throughout the playoffs. You got Chet Holmgren, who's been an awesome presence on defense, sometimes averaging 2 or more steals. And it's not just them, but you also have, so he's been a solid upgrade for them as well. Now, so you're talking about, so now you got that team going. 68-win regular season. And that's one factor where it goes. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to start sharing my screen with you guys. I'm going to go through some IG posts showing the reel of how these two teams got here. It's going to be an interesting one right here. We're going to start with how they got there. This is it. 2021-22. You had, look at those records. Pacers and Thunder were in a deep rebuild. You had Josh Giddey, SGA. And you got nice. And now you see where they're at now. 68-win regular season. Pacers kind of started off the season 500-ish around Christmas time, but they really got going after the holidays. Made a big turnaround. Dominated in the playoffs, which you see results in a finals appearance. And the Pacers, though, to their credit, they had 4 more comebacks in this series. So they had themselves a nice little run there where the Pacers were pulling off the big comebacks and really find ways to win games. Yeah, Siakam won the Eastern Conference Finals MVP by a vote, but here's some of the polls right there, voting results. For who won the conference finals, but it was a narrow margin, though. You had Siakam and Tyrese Halliburton both out there making a significant difference. Those are the 2 main factors there. And let's see, what else did we have? Let's see, look at some of the NBA statistics here. We got a few nice statistics I'm going to show you guys as well. First, let's start with the schedule. So you guys know what's on tap. So 8:30, game 1, June 5th, 2 more days. Hold on a second. Here, game 2. Sunday, June 8th. Game 3, June 11th. Wednesday. Game 4, the 13th. And games 5, 6, and 7, if necessary, would be Monday the 16th, Thursday the 19th, Sunday the 22nd. So that'll go past, if we do go to game 7, it'll go past Father's Day weekend. Man, we're looking forward to it, man. So there it is. There's the official graphic for game 1, folks. Thursday, June 5th, 2025, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Watch on ABC with the YouTube TV app, where you got Tyrese Halliburton, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Pascal Siakam, Jalen Williams, Miles Turner, Chet Holmgren. There's your big 3 for this matchup. We will have to see what happens there. And I love this comment right here. Luca Regato, best offense against the best defense, most beautiful final for those who love basketball. And it's one thing's for sure. You talk about the best offense against the best defense. That is for sure. We saw that throughout the playoffs. Now, who is it? This really the best basketball? That's an acquired taste. That depends on your personal preferences as a fan. But one thing's for sure, this is the best offense versus the best defense. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So let's see, what else do we got? And you look at this team, you got Isaiah. Like I said, now the difference factor for me in this matchup. Now we're going to start diving into the matchup itself. Let's talk about the actual matchup between these two teams for a second. First off, I feel like with the actual matchup, I feel like the Thunder's defense is their biggest edge in this series. Throughout the playoffs, they were consistently shutting teams down, getting multiple steals, forcing turnovers throughout the series. Hell, even in their 128-126 game 4 win against the T-Wolves in the conference finals, they still forced turnovers even in a high-scoring close game. And those turnovers were just enough of the edge to give them a 3-1 series lead. So even in high-scoring games, the OKC Thunder's defense has been significantly effective in deciding the outcome of games. So that's the one big factor. I know I've talked about it before, and I've emphasized that point throughout the episode, but throughout these streams, but now that's one point there. Now for the Pacers, here's where the defense for the Thunder comes into play. The Pacers have a fast-paced offense. They really know how to be, to move down the court, get guys to score, and produce those fast breaks and score buckets. And that fast-paced offense has allowed them to pull off comebacks in games they were down throughout the playoffs. Both the opening round against the Bucks, the second round against the Cavs, and the conference finals against the Knicks. They were able to wear teams down with their fast-paced offense and come back late in games they should have lost. Now, the Thunder, it's going to be more challenging because this is the best defense they played through the entire stretch of the playoffs. But we're going to have to see what happens. And here's one big matchup that's a key difference. The Thunder have a little more depth with their bigs. All the Pacers have for their big men is Miles Turner. If Miles Turner's inefficient, they're not going to have a backup guy to shut him down. Whereas the OKC Thunder, you're talking about a team who has multiple guys who are in position, like Isaiah Hartenstein and Jalen Williams. So if one battle and Chet Holmgren, 3 guys that can be used in that role. But if one of those, for the Pacers, you got Miles Turner. If that doesn't work out, who's your best backup option? That's one edge for the OKC Thunder. Now, offensively, the Indiana Pacers have a really solid team, but they don't have that ball-dominant guy. Like, yes, Halliburton's been good at times, but even throughout the conference finals, was Halliburton ever really dominant? And not to mention, throughout the playoffs, you had guys like Halliburton, Nesmith, Siakam, all those guys putting their work in. He never had one guy that could truly break the game open, whereas the Thunder, offensively, they had SGA, as well as other good players such as Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren. And now you got to see, we'll see. We'll see what happens from there. And now, so I don't know how the Pacers, though, are going to match up offense. They're not known for a great defense. They're known for having a great offense and being able to outscore their opponents through their fast break offense. And one of the benefits against the Knicks was they went against a team that was lacking defensively. Now, you go against the OKC Thunder, it's a different story. And here's the thing. So far, the Pacers have not matched up well against, say, guys like SGA, Jalen Williams. They haven't had to play guys that can produce that well. Seemingly the biggest threat were the Cavs and the Knicks. Now, the Pacers did their job, beat both those teams. But now, what happens when they have to go up against a better defensive team that can also score buckets and dominate on both sides of the court? What are the Pacers going to do then? And for Tyrese Halliburton having to try to go point for point with SGA to keep up, I think this is where his little luck runs out. I think the hourglass runs out on the Indiana Pacers in this series because the OKC Thunder are just a great all-around team. Looks like momentum's too hot in their favor, and I got the Thunder winning this series. I could see them winning this series in 5. I think could we have a few competitive games in this series? Absolutely. Maybe the Pacers make a few close games out of it. Kind of similar to what happened with the Lakers and the Magic, where the Lakers were the better all-around team, but the Orlando Magic found ways to keep the series close and make those games competitive. That's what I think we going to get here in this series between the Thunder and Pacers. I think you're going to get something similar to the 2009 finals where the Lakers were the better team, but the Magic found ways to keep the game close and competitive. And similar to that finals, the Pacers are kind of in the Magic role of that series where they were the team that had a good season but weren't expected to make it all the way to the finals. They deserve props for getting there, but finals is where the hourglass ran out. I think we're going to see a similar situation happen here with the Indiana Pacers, kind of similar to the 2009 Magic. And so you're going to probably see a competitive series, but I got the Thunder winning this series in 5. The SGA will reign as the MVP and presses him in his case for potentially being the next face of the NBA. So in this one, folks, that's right. I got the OKC Thunder winning it all, getting their second championship in franchise history, first since their Seattle days. Either way, this is going to be a good series. If you guys want to comment, let me know who you think your MVP is, whether you caught this live or you caught this on the replay, which probably most of you will. I think going live on Tuesday, having to postpone till Tuesday, may have threw off some of the views on this one because, a lot of people are used to me coming on Monday. A lot of my typical people that stop by the chat, David, Arku and them, they were expecting me to come on Monday. So I guess that kind of played a role. We didn't get as many people in the chat for this one, which is kind of a shame, but I'm going to try to make a few clips from this stream, try to get some eyeballs on it that way, being this is my finals preview. But yeah, man, we're going to have to wait and see. I'm looking forward to the series. You got 2 young teams with a bunch of young stars. You got a lot of parity, like I said. I think this could be an entertaining series, man. I got the Thunder winning it all. You guys can comment. Let me know what you think's going to happen, either in the chat or if you're catching this on the replay in the comments. Know what you think. If you haven't done so yet, please do me a favor. Make sure to drop a like. Subscribe to the Nicky Stees channel for more. So we're going to have to see ultimately what happens. But to everyone that tuned in, thanks for tuning in, whether you caught this live or on the replay. Appreciate your support. Without you guys, I wouldn't be doing this. I promise, come next week, we'll be back at it at this regular time slot, 10 a.m. on Monday morning. This was just a one-off where I switched times to Tuesday due to some personal circumstances. But starting next week, 3-Point Blitz will be back on Monday. It's the 1-week thing we're doing on Tuesday. But again, thanks to everyone that showed your support. Appreciate it as always. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I will certainly be doing YouTube shorts. What I'm going to do is kind of similar to what I did for the conference finals. Remember the conference finals? I was coming on here late night, early morning, doing some YouTube shorts about the game, recapping, give my quick thoughts. I'll be doing the same throughout the finals here in this one. With that being said, I'm going to end this poll, guys. And like I said, have a great rest of your day. It's your boy, Nicky Stees, signing off. Looking forward to the finals, and I'll catch you later.